in Manila, the authorities are really trying to improve access to safe and clean water. This tap, for example, wasn't here just a couple of years ago. There still isn't 100% access, though, and it's seen as really important because if you don't have a tap, you've got to buy bottled water, and that's much more expensive. And what ends up happening is that the poorest people in Manila pay the most for water rates. And water is expensive anyway here. It's more than in Hong Kong and Seoul and Beijing. At the moment, almost all Manila's tap water comes from one place, La Mesa Reservoir. In the dry season, the water levels can get really low, and climate change and an ever-increasing population is likely to make this even worse. The authorities are trying to find alternative sources so that when people do get a tap, they'll continue to get water coming out of it.
Here in China, the issue of safe, clean drinking water is of mounting public concern, and no wonder with images like these. Over the past few weeks, thousands of dead pigs have been found floating in the network of rivers that supplies Shanghai with much of its drinking water. For China, simply the latest stomach-turning pollution scandal. The government has admitted that the problem is widespread and serious. Some 40% of China's rivers are polluted, 20% are unfit even for human contact. But the problem is difficult to solve because it is inherently linked with China's political system. Local governments are incentivized to boost economic activity, to keep the factories running, and yet those same communist officials are responsible for enforcing environmental standards. For now, the talk is of expensive desalination plants and water pipeline projects, but the filth in China's water is becoming more and more difficult to hide, and the public is desperate for real solutions.
Getting access to clean water anywhere in Indonesia is difficult. We're in a poor neighborhood in the east of Jakarta, and this river is where people here get their drinking water from. It's also where they wash their dishes in, and as you can see, it's very, very dirty. There's litter throughout the entire river. It's contaminated. Over there, there's a rat that's just about to enter the water, and this is where young children often swim and bathe in. Many people in this neighborhood get very sick as a result of using this river as their primary source of a water supply. This is an issue that doesn't just affect people in low-income neighborhoods like this one. The entire country is dealing with this challenge. Even in the richer parts of Jakarta, where people have access to water from a tap, it's never clean. Now, they can go out and buy bottled drinking water, but that's a luxury that not many people in this country can afford. The government is trying to solve this problem by adding more water purification plants and building the infrastructure that's needed to get clean water to areas like this, but it's a complex and expensive problem to solve.
Summer is only just beginning here in India, but the spectre of drought is already looming large over many districts in the western Indian state of Maharashtra. According to official figures, more than 11,000 villages are facing acute water shortages. Farmers have been able to grow very few crops because of insufficient rainfall last year. Dry, cracked land meets the eye wherever you look. There's not enough fodder to feed their cattle and even less water. The government is supplying water through tankers, but many say this is a short-term solution to what is a long-term problem. Billions of dollars have been allocated to develop irrigation facilities in these areas so that they can be less dependent on rainfall. But locals say little has changed on the ground, and that while many projects did take off, they never got completed. Although cities like Mumbai and Pune are not facing major water scarcity, experts say that in the interior parts of the state, the situation is the worst they've seen in nearly 40 years.